Guys, I'd like to introduce you to my wife, Brittany Berry.
Hey y'all.
I really just wanted to take this time to interview you and hear about your life so far, your story, and what kind of artistic things you're doing right now. Because most people who know Brittany know that she is an artist and she's very creative.
Mhm.
She loves stories, loves people, is really compassionate, really loving, and has not just an eye for not just an eye for beauty and beautiful eyes, but she also has a a zeal for excellence. And she loves not just when things are beautiful, but when they're done well and done right and have a good message and a good purpose, and that the things actually serve their purpose. So all that to say, welcome, Brittany Berry. I love you so much. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Daniel. It's a joy to be on the podcast and a privilege, actually. I really appreciate your support. So, starting things off, I got really started in art when I was in elementary school. And of course, growing up, doing art with my sister, like for games and things. But I got trained during my teen years with artist Tom Barnes, who is a professional watercolor painter. He also has other mediums that he works in, but predominantly it's watercolors. And he was actually my youth pastor's dad, but I learned my love for the boldness of color, I think, from him and his work. And then throughout high school, continued pursuing art, got my undergraduate degree in art management with a minor in general business. And then after that, I actually worked for Vineyard for a time, which was a good learning experience. But after that, God gave me the opportunity to have my own gallery. And that was very special because that was a lifelong dream for me to have my own gallery featuring all my work, where I would paint in the gallery and studio so people would come and see the process while I was working. And then one guy even came in and he said, "When you're done, I want that one." It was a very cool experience. The opportunity came up for me to get my master's in illustration from the Savannah College of Art and Design. So I did that and I closed the gallery and got that degree. And through that degree, thank the Lord, I actually got my job as a graphic designer for Disney down in Orlando. It was a 1-year contract, but I basically assisted the creative director in creating sort of direction for the other artists as to what certain series were going to look like style wise for different merchandise around the parks. Mm-hmm. And I loved my coworkers. I miss them so much. And it was such a wonderful experience in my life. I love my boss. She was definitely the best boss I ever had. And yeah, it was a great time at Disney, definitely life impacting. Then I felt the Lord calling me back to the mountains where my family lived. And I wasn't sure why, but I came back. And then about half a year later, you, Daniel, and I started dating seriously. 5 months later, we got married. And it's been an adventure. It's been great. And currently, I am working on a book.
Well, you missed.
Oh, what did I miss?
You missed like 16 weddings we filmed together, as well as at least 3 short films and other films.
And one full-length movie.
And a full-length movie. And you just kind of skipped over a lot of production that happened in a short amount of time.
Yeah, our first year of marriage was super busy. We were driving up and down the East Coast and filming weddings every other weekend for a month. And then oh no, that was the first month was every weekend.
Yeah.
And we lived like 8 hours away from the location that we were filming. So we go up and down and up and down. And then in the in-between, we had real estate classes an hour away. So we'd be up and down and over, up and down and over. So it was a bonding experience. Thank the Lord.
I loved going to class with you and filming with you. And
yeah,
I think it's amazing. to do that in your first year of marriage was just amazing.
Yeah.
And I was thinking before we got married, I was thinking we have to be real estate agents because real estate agents, have a much better shot at having a healthy, solid marriage. Because I don't want to be, filming stuff and be gone from home for so long, on these filming
the
projects.
being gone part.
Because she had never worked with me on a project before. And you just came with me on the projects I was working on, worked alongside of me, started making your own videos, started making your own little film projects, recorded, audio recorded a book, did a bunch of different, really pretty impressive video feats for your first year of video production. And then I realized about, was it 2-3 years into our real estate? I can't say experiment because I was in it and I loved it and I still do love it. But realize real estate is not your thing.
No.
But you're a very good videographer and editor, and you can do that if you wanted to.
Thank you.
And you could just work with me or do whatever you want. And so we started to realize that, she did at least 2 real estate deals, but she didn't really care about making a ton of money doing real estate. She wanted to make art and make it meaningful and all these things that are about you and what you're about. And I appreciate that about you, actually.
Thank you.
The level of excellence in your art is really impressive and inspiring. So much so, it goes down to the level of the way things you do around the house and everything. I think it's amazing. Look at her nails. I don't know if you guys can see it.
I don't think you guys can see it.
You can't see it, but she has done very intricate details on her nails, even artistic things. She's made a very. Could you put your thumbs up?
Yeah. Here. It's kind of hard to do it this way because I can see it. But if I put
go like this and go down.
But it'll be an upside down butterfly. But if I put my thumbs together, it makes a butterfly.
Oh man! So I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's a really detailed butterfly.
Yeah.
And anyways, so she makes these really beautiful things. Pretty much, her taste for beauty and excellence and things done well permeates everything, and it's really amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And now I've been privileged to be invited to basically be in the audience or a part of Moot, which is one of your new things. It's a spin on podcasts now, because there are so many podcasts now that are basically just Zooms, right? And there's multiple windows and it's hard to see everyone. But this is a little different because there's only one Zoom screen and everyone is inside of it. And the outside might be kind of pretty. Again, done well. She brings beauty into everything she touches, everything she does.
Thank you.
But the Zoom interview or recording, it might not be Zoom forever. It might be something else. Has the people being interviewed right there. And it feels like you're on a Zoom call with the show, with Moot, with whatever it is. I think it's really cool because everyone's used to Zoom and they feel like they're Zooming somebody.
Right. Yeah. So what we do is we have it set up to where everybody who is there, they are looking at the screen and they're talking to the screen. Like I could see the person sitting right here beside me, but I'm talking to them while I'm looking at the screen, and they are too. So it looks like we're having eye contact to each other as we're talking. But when the viewer is watching the screen, they feel like they are part of the conversation, because there's nothing like being sort of, I'm talking to this person, I'm talking to that person, and you kind of feel like the third wheel being there. But when we're talking to you, by talking to each other through the camera, you guys get included. So that's part of the fun structure that we accidentally stumbled upon, thank the Lord. But yeah, Moot is a community of creatives. It's curated to be only a certain group of people because it's targeted towards sort of the homeschool Christian family demographic. And YouTube itself is sort of a teacher's role, and we're giving examples of life as believers who are creatives. And so it's important to have the right messages coming from that for the viewers. But one of the biggest reasons for Moot is to create collaboration and community with each other, so that, like Peter, if he's wanting to write a song, but he needs someone to listen to it and give him feedback, one of the Moot members or all of us can be there for him or to pray for him. And then another reason for Moot is it creates awareness of the projects that we're working on. Even some friends from church, they were like, I didn't know Frank wrote music. And it's, yes, I learned that through Moot. And it's, yes. And so it's doing what it's supposed to do, which is such a blessing to my heart.
And I know that's a big thing for you, is you like to see your art and things that you've made accomplish their purpose.
Yes.
And this is one of those things that it doesn't just do that. It does that for other people, and that's what its purpose is.
Yes.
And it's just, there's layers of goodness about this whole project. So I want to take a note that I haven't talked to you about yet.
Okay.
But I just wanted to make a note here about how some of the things that you work on are different from what other people are working on in such a beautiful way, and they help you prepare better for the future. And I'll go into that a little bit more in detail.
Okay.
As an example, Chat GPT just came out. Everyone is using these things to generate stuff, and you've experimented a little bit with AI generated art, a little bit, but
mostly to create like inspiration.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to just post an AI created thing. Instead, I've researched with it to get, oh, that's a cool idea. And then I sort of take my own spin on what may be shown.
Well, here's what I've seen is that a lot of people are going to be leveraging this to make a lot of art without exercising their brain.
Mm-hmm.
And their brain is going to get sluggish and it's going to get slow. And they're going to try to come up with an idea, and they're going to reach for Chat GPT to generate the idea for themselves because they're not used to the generation and expression of that generation of feeling and thought and the idea, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Brittany is doing the opposite. She sits down almost every day. It might be every week, something like that. You're intentional about sitting down with just a blank notepad or a Word document or something, and she just writes a story, a one-page story from her imagination.
Yes.
And finishes it. And it's not AI, it's not
AI.
Outside influence, it's just from her mind through her fingers, finished. And that expression and that exercise sets you up in such a good way for the future.
Thank you.
That's what I see. And another thing is, say with your Moot gathering, some YouTube creators, they piggyback off of the success of others by either reviewing other people, reacting to other popular things, news, whatever it is, or they interview already successful people in hopes to become successful. What I see you doing, which I think is so wonderful, you're interviewing people who are unknown and giving them the opportunity to have that normally in the other context of YouTube and outside of Moot, the interviewers are trying to get for themselves. You're like giving that to people who wouldn't otherwise have. It's giving them dignity and honor, and basically, like you explained with Frank, like showing, hey, there's this guy in our church who writes great music and no one else knows until today. And I think it's just so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a way more beautiful thing, and I just appreciate that.
Thanks. I know for me, I feel like we artists have to help each other, because we may have opportunities to, rub elbows with the big and famous. But the thing is, because we're not as big and famous as the other folk, we sometimes can fall between the cracks and not make it as close as we thought we would. And so I know for me, there was this other girl who was a tremendous fan artist of the Wingfeather Saga. And I saw her work. I had been interviewed as a fan artist for the Wing Feather Saga. And I saw this other girl's work and I was like, she's amazing. And I couldn't believe that they haven't gotten her yet either. Or I was like, you guys need her, sort of thing, as another fan artist. And I messaged her, have they contacted you? And she said no. And then when I told the people who had been talking with me about her, he told me, yeah, I tried to reach out to her, but her message wasn't like, she must have never gotten it.
Oh.
And so I told her, and so they were able to get connected, and she just recently got featured. And it was just such a joy to see this girl like get a step, like a help up, and like to see her shine. It was like, yes. I was so glad that they did it because she's so uber talented. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so great.
It was great.
Well, I know you do so many different things, artistic expressions of different kinds, and I know it's hard to find all the things you do. But I know you have a website, brittanyberryart.com.
Yes.
And you have a link tree, which you could probably find if you go to Brittany Berry
Brittany Berry Art
on Instagram.
Pretty much anything Brittany Berry Art, you'll be able to find me.
Okay.
So my Instagram's Brittany Berry Art. From there, there's the link tree. My YouTube is Brittany Berry Art, and my Facebook is Brittany Berry Art. Basically, anything Brittany Berry Art, you'll find me. The only thing different, I think, is Brittany E. Berry on Twitter, because somehow I think Brittany Berry Art was one letter too long.
Okay. That's kind of funny. My Twitter account, or not Twitter account, what is it? Instagram is pretty long. I know some people have pretty long Instagram accounts, but I think it's funny. Brittany Berry Art was too long because that doesn't sound too long.
No, it doesn't. It was like, so now it's like Brittany E. Berry. Because it was one letter too long.
Oh, no.
Well, I did want to mention something about the AI. So like you were talking about using it for like getting your initial ideas and things like that. So I basically had an idea of what I wanted, but I wanted to see what it could make to further help get the juices going. So, like for instance, the dryad whose arms are branches in the forest, something like that. And it came up with some examples, and I liked the color palette it went with, but my take on it was very different than theirs. Like if you held it up, you could see the similarities, but it was just, it's very different. So it's kind of a tool, not so much something to ignore, because AI is a train that's already left the station. It's not going to stop. I do agree with the case that artists who are part of the AI generating system and software should be paid for being part of the database. I do believe that, because it's almost like pirating music. But I don't think AI is a bad thing so long as they are fair to the artists.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's probably going to play its way out in the next couple months. I think in February, later February, April, and February, March, there's some sort of a big lawsuit having to do with that that's getting figured out. But yeah, it's kind of sampling work on a different scale.
Yeah.
Very large scale. And that might be a conversation for a different time.
Sure.
But I loved having you on the podcast. Thanks so much for talking about what you're up to. And
thank you, Daniel.
Really appreciate you.
It's been a treat. Thank you.
All right.
Bye, everybody.